Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me. This is MMA Boss Breakdown. If you could all do me a favor, go ahead and give me the like and subscribe to my channel. Appreciate it. All right, let's get right into it. So I'm going to break down the main card for UFC on Fox 30. Eddie Alvarez versus Dustin Poirier 2. We got 4 fights on the main card. All right. First fight, we got Alexander Hernandez versus Olivier Aubin-Mercier. So this is an interesting fight. Alex Hernandez, he has the one fight in the UFC, and he finished Beneil Dariush really quickly in the first round. So, there's not a whole lot we got to see him in the UFC. Young guy, early in his career, he's got about 10 to 12 fights in his pro career. He's a finisher. He's aggressive. He's quick. He's powerful. It's something that you really look for on the regionals. He's definitely a good prospect, and Beneil Dariush is no slouch. He came in and he finished him in the first round. OAM, he's been in the UFC for a while, for about 4 years. We've seen him kind of grow up throughout his career in the UFC, getting better and better. Super tough guy. Never been finished. Both guys are younger. I think they're both under 30, or OAM maybe 30 now. I don't know his exact birthday, but both guys are on the rise. Aubin-Mercier has been a little bit more tested against proven competition. With a good fight camp. He's with Faraz Zahabi at TriStar. He's definitely, becoming a veteran at this point, even though he's still early in his career. Just fighting the tougher competition in the UFC. The way these guys match up, it's really hard to say. With Alex Hernandez, he's one of those, guys that everyone's excited about. People think that, that one killing of Beneil Dariush means, he's going to be, contender on the rise. But, anyone can get caught, and it happens so fast that it's really hard to say. He does look exciting, but Aubin-Mercier, he's been in there. We've been seeing improvements over the years. His striking's getting better. He's got a good sense of, shot selection, timing. He's got pretty good natural timing. He's decent on the counter punch. Super tough. He's never been finished. Super tough guy. He's not as fast, as explosive and powerful as Hernandez, but he jabs well. He mixes up with his kicks. He's got a good inside leg kick, but he can go to the body, he can go to the head. Mostly kicks the legs if he is going to kick, but he's strong on his own. He's not a strong puncher, but he's very strong. In the clinch, up against the cage. One of the things that don't particularly like about what he does is, if he's being pressured and somebody's coming forward backing him up, he'll back himself up to the cage, behind the 2 black lines, and he'll back himself up against the cage pretty easily. He hasn't had a whole lot of opponents that have put a lot of pressure on him, but Hernandez is a guy that comes out really fast and is looking to strike hard punches, really, really quick hands. He's going to put the pressure on Aubin-Mercier early, and OAM backing up to the cage and letting himself kind of get caught there every now and then kind of worries me a little bit. But then again, like I said, he's really tough. His lateral movement has gotten a little bit better, trying to get off the cage. However, as if the fight goes on, if he gets tired, and we've seen him kind of tire a little bit in some of his fights, if the fight goes later, maybe that's a problem. But I don't know if Alex Hernandez can go later. I don't know exactly what he looks like after he's been throwing, everything he's got, power, speed, for a round or two, and Aubin Mercier has been able to, even though he's gassed sometimes later in fights, not a lot, but we've also seen other performances where he's come on a little bit stronger later, like in that Drew Dober fight, and he finished that fight later. It's possible Alex Hernandez just comes out and is a beast and, pressures Aubin Mercier up against the cage early, moving quick, throwing fast punches, backs Aubin Mercier up and, uncork something really, really powerful. But I'm going to have to go with OAM on this one. He's just super tough. I think maybe he might take a couple bad shots early, but weather the storm and work his game, work his jab, work his counters. Hopefully he can get off the cage and, maybe mix in a little bit of grappling. So I'm going to pick OAM, unanimous decision. Maybe has a tough first round, but he's getting better and better, and I like what I'm seeing out of him. He's starting to fit right into, that mainstay top 15, top 10 guy. I definitely see him sticking around in that space. Even if he might lose one, I think he's going to continue to build wins, and we'll see him kind of be, in that top 15, top 10 of the lightweight division, for at least another couple of years. He's getting better and better, and he's with a good team, so I think he's going to take it. All right, next fight, we have Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Tecia Torres. So there's a lot of people who are kind of jumping off the Joanna Jędrzejczyk bandwagon after her losses to Rose Namajunas, which I kind of understand. That first loss was bad, but that second fight, I scored it for Joanna. I wasn't, upset with the Rose win. I thought it was super close. It could easily have been a draw. One of those rounds could have been a 10-10. I know that's not often scored that way, but it was a really close fight. I definitely thought that she came out and proved she had more to offer than what she showed in that first fight, getting finished by Rose. She's gotten hurt in, almost every single one of her fights, the last 4 fights of hers. That's a little bit of a problem. I don't think it's going to be a problem here against Torres, though. I mean, Torres is quick and she can surprise people with her speed. Like she surprised Rose in their second fight and kind of dropped her, with a punch that she didn't really see coming as they were in the clinch. She was moving into the clinch. She's not a power puncher, so I don't think Joanna's really going to have to worry about that. Really, this matchup, I think, is really going to be made with the, physical advantages that Joanna has. She's much taller, much longer. Torres probably has the shortest reach in the whole division. She's very short. She moves well for being so small. She can, close distance pretty well. She punches into the clinch pretty well. She's got fast hands. She mixes up her game well. She's got good, strong kicks. She can get picked off a little bit at long range. Even though she is pretty good there herself. Like I said, she maximizes her range tools pretty well with her own kicks. She comes from a Taekwondo background, but it's not going to compare to Joanna. Joanna is just as fast, if not even maybe a little bit faster on the punch. She mixes up her kicks really well. to straight kicks to the body, you know, outside leg kicks, inside leg kicks, head kicks, multi-punch combinations. Torres is a little bit of a, you know, she takes her time. She doesn't really push a pace. So Joanna is definitely going to be the more active striker, I think, here. You know, Joanna works well off the back foot too, kind of circling out, and then come in, you know, on the counter, occasionally move forward a little in, and then back out, circling, throwing her combos. But I think Joanna in this fight, Torres is going to allow Joanna to lead, which isn't Joanna's like super strength, but she's good at it. She's capable. She's done it before. You know, I think Torres is going to give her the space to work, and you know, we're going to see a vintage Jędrzejczyk performance, and she's going to look really good, and she's going to pour it on. And see, Torres, she may look to you know, clinch and try to work her takedowns, and she's pretty strong for her size, but she's not like Claudia Gadelha. So and Joanna's got great takedown defense, so I don't think it's going to really play a factor. I'd be really surprised if she could even get Joanna down. If she does, I definitely don't think she could keep it down to make anything really happen. Joanna will probably get right back up and then punish her. You know, the clinch, I'll probably favor Joanna. I mean, some people are thinking this is a close matchup. I don't think it's a close matchup. I think people are mistaken with that just because Tisha has had, you know, good close fights with Rose Namajunas, and you just can't really do MMA math here. Yeah, I think Joanna is going to run away with this one. So I don't think she'll finish Torres. Torres is super tough. So Joanna Jędrzejczyk by a very nice unanimous decision, one where she reminds us all why she was the champ. All right, next fight, we got Jose Aldo versus Jeremy Stephens. And this one, I am not so sure about. This is a tough match to call, mostly just because of what we've seen from Jose Aldo. You know, after that Chad Mendes fight years ago, he really left a piece of himself in the octagon, and I don't think he was ever quite the same. You know, he just doesn't take damage as well as he used to. I mean, he doesn't get put out with one punch, except for, you know, he got put out by McGregor, but you know, it took multiple shots to get finished by Max Holloway. And I know Holloway's not like a power puncher, but you know, he does hit fairly hard, and the volume's there. And you know, Aldo still did really well in the Holloway fights, won rounds. Stephens' current win streak, I think, is a little bit overstated. I mean, obviously he's won these fights, but I don't think he's gotten that much better. Not as much as some people are making out to be. You know, in his most recent fight, he got dropped. He was getting countered. You know, he in the Moicano fight, that was his last loss. That was 4 fights ago. He really got worked by a you know, fairly inexperienced Moicano. Moicano worked him with long punches, kicked Jeremy Stephens' legs a lot, something I could definitely see Jose Aldo replicating, although we haven't seen Aldo, you know, use a lot of his kicks lately. He kind of brought him out a little bit at times in the Holloway fight, but, you know, not as much as I would have liked to have seen him work the legs. But considering the losses, I think that we'll see a smarter Aldo, someone who comes in with a little bit more of a game plan, and there's no doubt that the leg kicks have got to be part of the game plan, and Stephens can be kicked. I mean, he throws some of his own leg kicks that are pretty good, but, you know, Uh, I think he'll chew Stevens' legs up if that's part of the game plan. It should be, he still jabs really fast. Aldo's still quick. He throws a lot of power in every punch. He's been working with a boxing coach extensively. Um, his defense is still pretty good. This is only a 3-round fight. We're not talking about a 5-round fight, so I'm not too worried about Aldo getting gassed. Um, Jeremy Stevens is open. He sometimes he'll just blanket, come in with, you know, overhand rights, not set up. He'll if he starts to pressure and then gets you up against the cage, he'll try to walk in with an uppercut, not set up, and he's really open to the counter. I could definitely see Jose Aldo timing him on those punches that are just not set up. If Jeremy Stevens is getting kind of frustrated and getting kicked to the leg, and Stevens is just starts to try to turn it up and put the pressure on and just starts throwing heat, not really setting things up, and Jose just tearing him up on the counter. And Stevens is super tough. I mean, if anyone could finish him, it could be Jose, but it should be a good fight. I think Aldo might get tagged up a bit. There's no doubt Jeremy Stevens is going to land some punches, but I think Aldo's defense is still good enough to block or move his head. His defense is still good. I think he's going to win this fight. It's probably going to be another decision. I think that there's going to be a lot of decisions on this main card. I'll pick Jose Aldo by unanimous decision. Probably, jabs, leg kicks, and catching Stevens on the counter coming in, while Stevens starts just getting reckless and frustrated, and gets worked on the counter. So. All right, now we're at the main event, the one that we're all excited for, the rematch between Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier. I'm super excited for this one. I've gone back and forth on this, thinking that Alvarez, might have the right mindset, that his mind's right after going through that war and then beating Justin Gaethje, that he's back to the old Eddie, and he's not coming off of that loss from McGregor anymore, where he's going to be timid and a little bit gun shy like he was in the first Poirier fight. That was definitely something I noticed, that at that first round against Poirier in their first fight, you could tell he was definitely concerned about the counters and the southpaw matchup a little bit. Poirier has a little bit of that McGregor thing. He's got a good reach. He's a southpaw. He throws that left hand counter really well. And I think Eddie Alvarez was a little bit worried in that first round, and it took him a while to get started, and he definitely dropped that first round, and Poirier looked good. And Poirier continued to look good in the second, right up until when he hurt Eddie, and then Eddie, does what Eddie Alvarez does, and he started to make a comeback and hurt Dustin Poirier as he came in and got a little bit reckless, and it turned into a brawl, and then the illegal blows happened, and the fight was over, unfortunately. But I think we'll see a little bit better fight this time around. Although that fight was good, I think we'll see a little bit better fight this time around, as long as it lasts. I do think that somebody's going to go down in this one. That I think they both have a little bit of ill will. They've been kind of trying to downplay it, I think, just for their own minds, so that they can keep their heads right, and and not lose it when they get in there. But I think when they get in there, it's going to come out a little bit, particularly with Dustin Poirier. Although he's been a little bit more measured the last few fights, so I don't think it'll be as bad. And I know he's trying to fight a lot of those tendencies. He's having a good job. And in the past, Dustin Poirier definitely used to be a brawler, but he's even stated as much that he doesn't like to fight that way, and he's shown it in his run at lightweight that he's definitely changed himself as a fighter. He likes to work at long range. He's good at moving on his feet. He's got much better footwork. He gets in and out of the pocket much better. If somebody starts to create that brawl, he moves out. We saw that in the Gaethje fight, which was, I feel like, a real eye-opener that, he's taken a big step forward. And, if he gets to that moment in this fight where he hurts Eddie, there's a good chance that he's, learned his lessons, and he's going to be, much smarter with the finish on this one. Not push it. If he hurts him, back off, pick at him, try to hurt him again. If it's not there, be patient. I think that we'll probably see Poirier do that better in this fight. He's showed it in the Gaethje fight, and that means a lot. Eddie Alvarez's confidence, though, is definitely up. He looked great in the Gaethje fight. His jab looked better than, I don't know, maybe it's ever looked. He's mostly always been a right-handed fighter, not much of a jab, something that he kind of just flicks out there, but nothing that he'll really hit you with much authority. We saw him jab better in that Gaethje fight. He went to the body really well in the Gaethje fight, although Justin Gaethje is a bit of a standing target, flat-footed guy, so it was a little bit easier for Alvarez to show off, his boxing skills. But I did like to see that the jab was more of a real thing instead of something that he was just kind of flashing out there to, set up his right hand. We saw some good feints in that Gaethje fight. I think he's going to come out this time around, putting on the pressure. We've seen him be able to pressure decent at times in the past. The old Eddie Alvarez from like Dream and some of his Bellator fights, he was a guy that would come out and he was a savage, much like that Justin Gaethje fight. He said he was going to be more like that Alvarez of old. And, he has the title of, the scariest guy in MMA or the UFC or whatever he says it is. I believe that he believes that. And he's going to come out and try to put it on Poirier. And I think that that's the only way he's really going to win, is if he does try to bring it to Dustin. But at the same time, he's going to play right into Poirier's game, because Poirier is really good at timing that left-hand counter. We've seen in the Poirier Gaethje fight that Poirier's jab has even gotten much better than Alvarez's. So, and he's longer, so he's going to be catching Eddie as Eddie puts on that pressure and is trying to make this into a dogfight. We're going to see Poirier have the chance to move and work his footwork, which has been much improved, and work those counters. Alvarez is going to have to get inside and make it dirty, and he's tight in the pocket. He's got power. He can catch Dustin Poirier, and if Poirier gets a little bit overexcited and gets sucked into that brawl, he can get put out. Alvarez is a very potent finisher. If he hurts you, he's one of those guys who really knows how to finish you. And he's a shark. He'll smell blood and he goes for the kill, and he's really, really good at it. He'll find an opportunity to just jump on and finish, whether it's a choke if he's hurt you or finishes you with punches, whatever it's going to take. He knows how to finish the fight once you're hurt. The smarter pick in this is Dustin Poirier, and I'm gonna lean Poirier. You know, like I said, he was winning that first fight right up until the point where he hurt Eddie, and then Eddie ended up sucking him in and hurt him back, and then it went no contest. But I think he's gonna move. He's gonna move as Eddie tries to pressure and come in. He's gonna lace him with counters, work him from the outside, even close in boxing range. He's, like I said, he's gotten much better at being in the pocket and then exiting the pocket. He doesn't like to brawl. We've seen it. He can do it. He can do it all right, but it's not where he's going to want to be with Alvarez. He knows that. I think he's going to be much more measured and patient, and we're going to see Poirier end up setting up Eddie coming in with those counters just like he did before. He timed him just like McGregor did and let Eddie Alvarez run himself right into that left hand, and I definitely could see that happening exactly the same way. You know, Eddie, is older. He's, taken more damage over his career. He's, gotten finished by McGregor. He's gotten hurt in his last couple fights. Gaethje didn't hurt him real bad, but chewed up his legs. But, he went through a war there. Poirier hurt him. He's been tagged up. He's worn out. He's, in his mid-30s now. Eventually, we're going to get to that point where Eddie Alvarez, we're going to see the decline, and he's going to drop off somewhere sooner or later. And I think that time's somewhere near. I think Dustin Poirier is in the prime of his career. This is the best he's going to be when you have skills meeting athletic ability and youth. He's in his late 20s. He's right in the prime of his career, and I think Eddie, at best is at the very end of his prime, but it's possible he could be just over the hill now. And I think it's Dustin Poirier's time, as much as it saddens me. I love Eddie Alvarez. He's still very much in this fight. If he can draw Poirier into a brawl, into a clinch, into close boxing range, or gets him against the cage, he can make something happen. But I like Poirier to finish this fight. Maybe third or fourth round finish. But it should be a good one as long as it lasts. I think Alvarez will get his punches in. So I'm looking forward to it. Hope you guys all enjoy it. That wraps up this breakdown. Thank you guys for joining me. Again, if you like this video, please hit the like, subscribe to the channel, and join me on the next one. All right, thank you very much. We'll see you next time.